So emotional eating impacts you in multiple ways, but it all boils down to one root. So if you're new here, welcome. My name is Michelle. I'm a certified holistic nutritionist specializing in emotional eating. And today I want to talk about all of these areas that might be impacted by your emotional eating. And it's all connected and it boils down to this one root. And that root is really your emotional eating pattern, this coping mechanism that you have. And there's a specific way you need to move through that in order to dissolve all of these other sort of symptoms. So when I look back at my own journey with emotional eating and with the women that I work with that have emotional eating, what I saw was there was a certain pattern that emerged. And so emotional eating was at the root of all of these sort of symptoms we were experiencing. So what that looks like, I'm going to categorize that into three main areas. And this might resonate for you, and you'll see how emotional eating is sort of connected into all of these areas. So the first area you might see your emotional eating impacting you is physically. So one of the main things women come to me is around weight gain. That is accompanied by digestive issues, inflammation, other chronic issues. So it's impacting you physically. These are some of the physical symptoms that are associated with emotional eating. The second main area is all around mentally and emotionally, how it's impacting you. So you might have low self-esteem, low confidence. You might be in these shame spirals, these guilt spirals, these obsessive thoughts about food. And it's sort of like all of this is consuming your life. You can't move forward. And the third area is socially. So you want to isolate. You don't want to go out. You prevent yourself from experiencing things in life because you don't feel good and you don't want to interact with others that might trigger how you feel about yourself. So these are the three main areas I see emotional eating impacting clients, and they impacted me as well. And so when we sort of boil this down, it's all coming from this main emotional eating pattern. Because when I work with women inside of the emotional eating evolution program, and we really get to the root of their emotional eating pattern and we start really meeting their true needs, these symptoms start dissolving because they're connected. And it's important to note that you don't want to just, do something to physically help yourself or just do something to mentally help yourself or try to push yourself out of your comfort zone. If you get to the root, it unravels all of these other layers. So I'll give you an example. I had a client come in and she realized that, emotional eating was top of mind. She was binging every day and just realizing that this was really impacting her life. So she needed to get a handle on her emotional eating. Along with her emotional eating, and, emotional eating is the main concern that I'm working with, but she had digestive issues. She had low confidence, low self-esteem, low capacity, and she was also isolating herself. So she ticked all of these boxes. So you might have one box that's more obvious to you than others, but these sort of symptoms, they're going to be for every woman that's experiencing emotional eating. And so if emotional eating is really the thing, you're seeing it flashing before your eyes and you've tried to solve, the physical symptoms. Let's say you try to solve weight gain with diets and personal trainers and it hasn't stuck, or you try to solve digestive issues with just doing a gut protocol and it hasn't stuck, or you're trying to do something more surface level for some of the chronic symptoms you have and you're not getting traction, you haven't hit the root yet. If you are going to, let's say, talk therapy and you're talking about low confidence or your self-esteem and you're trying out strategies and it's still not getting to the root, you haven't done the deeper work to really help you unroot that. And if you're still isolating yourself, you're trying to, accept yourself and move out, but it's like, you just feel that shame or that, you don't feel like going out, you don't have the energy. We're still on the surface. We have to get into the root. And in order to do that, we need to start connecting back to ourselves in three main areas. And this is going to really help unravel this pattern. So that same client that came in with all of these symptoms checked off, she works through the same process that all of my clients work through inside of the Emotional Eating Evolution program. There's a specific methodology, and it's looking at three main areas that boil down into the root of this pattern. It's going to be something in childhood, but we need to also learn a new way of being with ourselves so that these strategies are connected to us, so that when we pull out these deeper roots, we have something solid and reliable, not a quick fix diet or something we have to restrict our willpower or punish ourselves. It has to be something nurturing to us. And so what I found in my journey and what works for clients as I created this methodology is that we need to shift the way we relate to food, our body, and our emotions, and get into those deeper root blocks around them. So this pattern, emotional eating, is a coping mechanism, and it would have started in childhood, where we use food to numb out or soothe or distract ourselves from any discomfort or uncomfortable emotions. Our parents or caregivers wouldn't have been able to model to us how to be with these emotions, how to move through them, how to regulate ourselves, and they wouldn't have been able to meet these deeper emotional needs we had. And so we're left with this discomfort and we have to cope. And food becomes this band-aid, this tool we use that's not really going to get us to our goals. And so this deeper root, it really is around these emotional blocks. But we also, from that, started to have an unhealthy relationship to food and thought if we restricted, then maybe we'd get, the body we wanted, or if we look a certain way. So we throw our relationship with food out the window and with our body, because we're trying to fit our body into a certain box. But none of these things are really going to give us and meet our true needs. And we need to find a better way to shift this pattern, because when we really get into the root, we shift this stress response, which is a coping mechanism, to a calm response, which is it shifts our nervous system from fight or flight to rest and digest. And in fight or flight, we're going to have all of these symptoms that I mentioned of, weight gain, digestive issues, low mood, low confidence, low self-esteem, that shame that's holding us back from wanting to be with others. And when we shift to this calmer nervous system, we're going to improve our digestion, our mood, our body's going to release weight, we're going to physically feel better, we're going to emotionally and mentally feel better, and we're going to then want to interact with others. And so the three main areas we really need to shift, and that's going to help us shift our nervous system, is around food, our body, and our emotions. And with food, what the pattern is with emotional eaters, they tend to have a diet mentality. They're very restrictive, they're very punishing around food, and they constantly think they're hungry. So they jump to food at a moment's notice, at a trigger. And so here we're learning to truly nourish the body. We are looking at ways to improve digestion and mood and catch those emotional eating triggers. So we're learning to discern true from emotional hunger, so that we are removing that trigger, so that we are aware of the triggers that are popping up. And around our body, we're shifting from body shame to body acceptance, learning how to understand our body, not go into those shame spirals which trigger emotional eating. That shame really makes us want to just numb out. And we're shifting from maybe bypassing our emotions, not being in touch with them, not knowing how to meet our true needs, to emotional wellness, where we get into the root of what created this pattern, and we're reworking this pattern, resolving it at the root, so that we're not using food to soothe ourselves. We are actually meeting our true needs, what we truly needed. And that's going to help us move forward really powerfully. And this is what dissolves this pattern and these symptoms, because when you get into the root, when you're no longer sort of restricting food and punishing yourself around your body or avoiding emotions, and you get into the root of meeting your true needs of nourishment, of acceptance, of emotional wellness, that dissolves this pattern. You're not going to be reacting. You're going to actually be thriving. And so this is where we want to get to. And so if you're having these symptoms of emotional eating, there is resolution. And on the other side, you're going to feel your body is, if we go through it physically, mentally, emotionally, and socially, physically, you're going to feel more ease and peace in your body, but those digestive issues are going to calm down. Your body will release weight as it needs to. Issues around chronic inflammation, this will start dissolving emotionally and mentally. You're going to have more confidence. You're going to feel better about yourself. You're not going to be in these shame spirals because you're going to really understand and accept yourself. And socially, when you start sort of creating a solid foundation, you're going to want to interact with others. You're not going to fear criticism or feel insecure about your body because you're going to really understand and accept yourself. And so you're going to feel more like you have the capacity to be with others because you are building your self-esteem and confidence and worth from the ground up. And so this is how we shift this pattern by meeting your true needs. And we're going to eliminate and dissolve those symptoms as we move through the process. As you start resolving your emotional eating, those other results come along with it. So if you have any questions about what I've shared, please let me know. If you are ready to start your journey to resolving your emotional eating, the first step I recommend is that you start learning to discern true from emotional hunger and catching your triggers. So I have a free guide called What Are You Truly Hungry For? You can find the link below. And if you're ready to start a program or you're ready to really get into the root of this process, you can find out more about the Emotional Eating Evolution Program. This is my 12-week container. It is full of lots of support, guidance, coaching, the deeper tools to really get into this pattern and resolve it so you can start feeling that ease and confidence around food and in your body and finally resolve your emotional eating sustainably. So those links are below. Please be sure to like and subscribe, and I look forward to sharing more with you, and I hope you have a great day.